Okay, for this series, you're gonna start on all fours. I want your hands directly under your shoulders, knees directly under your hips. We're gonna do some cat-cows with your breath, but before we do that, let's just establish the straightest line through your spine possible. So what I want you to do is press actively through the ground like you're making your arms really long. In a way, you're bringing your chest and head off the ground as far as possible, but not going so far that you round excessively. Now that you got all your points off the floor, you're gonna move through cat-cow. So the next time you exhale, exhale fully, and I want you to globally round your spine into a flex position. You don't need to force it and go as far as possible, but do get to the end of your exhale. And then as you inhale, you're gonna extend, but you're still pushing through the ground, trying to make your arms long, trying to stay away from the floor so you're not moving through your shoulder blades. And you just go at your own pace with your breath. So it's a full exhale to the very bottom to get into a flex spine. Deep inhale. You're gonna move into global extension. And so I want you to map out where your spine is in space from a neutral kind of stacked position into flexion, into extension, timing it with your breath, and then hopefully feeling like you're distributing the load evenly. So if you're in extension, you shouldn't feel it just in your low back or just hinging at the bottom rib. You should feel it through your entire spine, same as you flex and bring your pelvis up towards your head. And now the next time you're flexed, you're gonna stay in that position. As best as you can, try not to move from your lowest rib. So keep your lowest rib down motionless and your low back motionless, and really round your upper back. And now we're gonna do rotational cat-cows. So while you're rounded, shift your entire rib cage over towards your right pelvis. So your right hand and right knee will get heavier. Now that you're there, side bend to the left, so even open up those right ribs even more. And stay like that as you extend back down to the floor. So you're now arching or flattening through your upper back. And once you get there, you shift your rib cage as one solid unit to the left side, over that left foot and left hand. Open up those ribs with a bit of lateral flexion, and then press and flex. And then you continue that movement. So you're shifting while flexed to the right. It becomes a circle through your upper back. Your side bent a bit as you extend. And then you keep a little bit of core engagement to try to minimize movement from your low back. And then at any point through a lot of these different drills, you can take a break and do some wrist circles if you feel like it's a lot on your wrist, or you can rock back onto your knees a little bit more so there's less weight and less extension on your wrists. Let's go the other way. So now you're really letting your whole center of gravity from your rib cage translate to the left, opening up to the left, then extending and smoothly mapping out that range. So it's like a circle or like a square. Finish off that circle. Then we're gonna come up. We're gonna include your whole spine. So you're gonna go into standing. So you're gonna set up feet right under your hips now. Try to feel like your weight stacks right over the center of your feet so your ribs aren't sheared forward. And then we're gonna do a spinal wave. So you're going to exhale as you tuck your chin in and then flex segment by segment down, bringing the backs of your hands together and reaching. And you basically finish with soft knees and a pelvic tuck. And when you finish your exhale, you're then going to open your hands up, you're gonna look forward, you're gonna lengthen your spine, and you're gonna begin to arch. So in fast motion, it looks like this. And you're really just trying to control each segment in space. Feel the wave as smooth as possible, more than the range. Same thing, you're timing it with your breath. Full exhale to flex. Full inhale to lengthen and extend, and finish off whatever wave you're on. And then you're gonna need your dowel. So once you grab your dowel, it's gonna be right in front of you. We're gonna work on a hinge pattern first. So you might have to move the dowel as you go, but feet will still be like they're on train tracks, maybe a little bit wider, that depends on you. Start off with a stacked position, like you can think of reaching the dowel forward as your ribs go back, kind of like when we push the ground away, so you feel like everything's in this straight line. And then you're gonna soften your knees, soften your hips, and you're just gonna reach into the back of your hips, into this hinged position. And then you're gonna come back up. So right now, we're just trying to find that strong hinged position, whatever yours looks like. The movement stops when you stop traveling back in your hips. And you're just trying to pattern this movement without any movement of your spine. So ribs and pelvis stay together. And then when we get down to the next one, we're gonna do a spinal wave. So you're gonna hold this hinge. And now the same wave we did before, I want you to do it from the bottom up. So you're gonna tuck your pelvis just a little bit and see if you can almost imagine one segment at a time flexing before you move it. And then you're just subtly curling under. And you're not looking for max range either. You're just trying to build some awareness of where your spine is while hinged until you're subtly flexed. And then you go the other way. Dig your heels in, sit your hips back, arch the lowest segment of your low back, and then let that movement ride up your spine. See that you go through every individual vertebrae. And when you get to the end, you should also feel like if the muscles have fired at one segment, they should be fired all the way up your back equally as you keep doing these waves. You can time your breath if you want, like exhale to flex, inhale to extend, but maybe on your first go, don't worry about that so much and try to have good control of all your parts. And before you come up, so finish whatever wave you're on, try to find center. Try to find flat, find a lot of length, sit back in your hips, push, and come up. Okay, now we're gonna go joint by joint. So starting with your shoulder blades, I want you to grab the dowel shoulder width apart. You're gonna reach straight forward. And what I want you to do is keep your ribs stacked again. Everything is up tall. I'm gonna show you from the side, and you're gonna reach this dowel forward as far as you can reach it. So you're spreading your shoulder blades apart. And then you keep reaching as you elevate your shoulders, so you're shrugging, and then you squeeze your shoulders back, and then press down. And then repeat. So you're reaching, you keep reaching as you elevate, you keep elevated as you squeeze back, let your shoulders glide down your back. Now try the other direction. So elbows should stay perfectly straight. Your hands don't travel up or down, they only go forward and back, and then your head, ribs, pelvis, they all stay in that same straight line. Make sure you've got some core engagement, you have every muscle engaged. I want you to feel strong through this range. Nice, then relax. Now you're gonna do your shoulder capsule. We'll do it in a hinge again. If you guys wanna see me, I'll show you what it looks like if you face each other. So it looks like this. This is the movement, but you're gonna be facing down, so you're not gonna see it. Let's just do a couple practice ones. You're gonna push into the ground. Your arms are bent about 90 degrees, and at this 90-degree bend, you're just gonna rotate from the shoulder sockets. And you just wanna feel where they rotate before your shoulders are involved, before your ribs or pelvis move. Good, so that's the movement you're gonna do in a hinge again. So you've got the dowel at that 90 degrees. I want you to sit into a hinge. Your elbows are in line with your shoulders. Press back, strengthen through your spine, and do the same movement. So you're gonna externally rotate, and then you're gonna internally rotate. Because of the angle now, the external rotation is gonna be a little harder, but it gives you more room to go right into full internal rotation, which means the dowel is going closer to you, closer to your sternum, up, over towards your head. I'll just do a few reps because we wanna get this shoulder socket moving as well as possible. There's a lot of upper back and shoulder work today, so we're trying to get to the deepest layer, which is the capsule, before we do the full rotation. Once you're done your next rep, you can come up. Dowel is gonna go into your left hand, and we're gonna go back into that hinge, and we're gonna do a full shoulder rotation. So, dowel's pushing into the ground, you're stacked, sit back into your hinge position, press the dowel into the ground with your left. Your right hand is going to be a knife edge. And now what I want you to do is pretend there's thickness in the air, find some tension through your body, and you're going to start to flex this over your head. You're breathing through that core tension. You get into a full overhead position. Now your palm and bicep are gonna rotate out to face away from you, internally rotating. And imagine you're kind of like swimming. You're pushing the air back behind you as far as you can without your chest twisting and without coming up out of the hinge. And you should finish with your palm either facing back or out with your hand at your hip. Now going the other direction, open your chest up more and reach your hand back, like you're pushing a weight up to the ceiling with your hand. Rotate from the shoulder capsule again, so palm is facing out. Come all the way around. You're still pressing actively through your feet, sitting back into your hips. Get to the start position, do another rep. So everything else is motionless except for your right shoulder. You should feel strong in this position. When you finish your second rep, you can dig in, come up, switch hands. We're going to do the exact same thing. Sit back into your hips. Find your best hinge, lengthen. Start with packing air into your abs. Your core's tight, press through your feet, grip the dowel hard. Let's go through left hand. And you're pretending the air is thick, like there's a weight on your hand or a resistance in your shoulder that you're working through, and you're moving through consistent speed and tension through the whole rotation, avoiding any pinches or pain. So if you have an area your shoulder doesn't glide really well, you'll just have to scale back the range, maybe even slow it down, but then continuously trying to smooth it out. Finish your second rotation there, and then your dowel can go away. Okay, going into elbows. So you're gonna go elbow pits facing straight forward. Nothing's gonna move but your elbow. Find a little tension through your body and rotate your forearms so they're facing away from each other as far as you can before your elbows move with it. And then squeeze your way up, like you're doing a bicep curl, but you're still trying to rotate your elbows away from each other, or your forearms. Keep squeezing almost with a bicep cramp as you rotate in, and then press like the air is thick, still air packed into your abs with that core tension or brace and that pressure, and then you rotate. We'll do another one. Squeeze your way up. Rotate inwards, press your way down. Then go in the opposite direction, so elbow pits shouldn't move as you bring the backs of your hands up, trying to squeeze your forearms to your bicep, rotate and press down. Then again. And then the last one is standing. You're going to bend your arms 90 degrees. This time your forearms have to stay level to the ground, and you're going to trace circles with the tips of your fingers at a consistent speed again, and challenging the edges of that circle as long as there's no pinches. And then you can watch your forearms and see that if something was balancing there, it wouldn't be falling in towards the midline or out. It would stay balanced. Let's go the other direction. Close your fist tight and do the same thing. Pick a direction, draw that same circle. Switch directions. Nice. Okay, with wrists warmed up now, again, we're going to go back to all fours. And we're going to go into your hips. So like we did with the shoulders, we're going to do hip capsule and then the full rotation. So what you want to do is you tuck your chin, press the floor away again without rounding, and find like a solid base position before we do our hips. Now, right foot's going to come off the ground, and what you're going to do is these little windshield washers where that foot rotates towards your midline and back out. So you're swiveling at the hip socket. You want to feel like that ball of your upper leg bone is in the center of the socket, and you're just rotating it and basically getting some mobility at the deepest level before we go do the full circle. All right, now let's do the full rotation. So you're going to squeeze your right calf to your right hamstring. Now it's going to be really common to cheat with your pelvis, so try to imagine you're like balancing a dinner plate on your low back. You're still pushing through the ground. I want you to flex your right knee into your chest without rounding your back. Now bring your knee and ankle out to the side without opening up on that side where your pelvis is, without dropping the dinner plate. And then your knee is going to go down a bit while your foot reaches up to the ceiling, and you trace out a big circle with your knee reaching way back behind you. At this point, you got to make sure your low back doesn't start to arch. Come around until your knees are together, back at the start position, and then you're going to go opposite direction. So you're kicking back without your low back arching. You're moving out to the side, rotating in that hip capsule, coming all the way back to the start. And let's do one more rep, each direction. All points actively pressing through the ground. Keep thinking that you're trying to lift your head and your sternum away from the floor with an active push. You might have a very subtle tuck of your pelvis. Once you finish that rotation, we're going to go to the other side. So take a sec if you need to take a wrist break. Left foot comes off the ground, and now it's going to swivel in and out. So you're rotating from the left hip socket. Then the full circle, squeeze left calf to left hamstring. Start by flexing that thigh up into your chest without rounding, opening up to the side with the ankle and with the knee, and just trying to get your ankle a little bit higher so this internally rotates your hip as you kick back and around. And then go in the opposite direction. You drive your heel back using your left glute, not your low back. Then that knee and ankle, while the glute is tight, goes into that lateral part of your glute as you reach out to the side. Foot tries to get under knees. You stay high off the ground. And then one more in each direction. Keep trying to lengthen your spine, actively pushing through the floor, not letting your low back sag, but also not excessively rounding your upper back. Once you're on all fours, we're going to go into seated. So you have a pad. You could use a pad if that helps you stay a little bit more upright through your spine, but basically just going to be in a tall seated position or like a bear sit. So left leg could be straight or bent. Right leg is going to be bent, and you're going to put your left hand on your right knee and then your right hand on your shin. If you got it wrong, it's okay too. But anyways, knee's not going to move. I want you to lock this ankle up by flexing that foot, and I just want you to feel that you can rotate that shin bone in and out without your foot like pronating and supinating, so the ankle's not doing this and your knee is not moving. So you just have true rotation at this joint. So it's movement here that makes your toes face in and out, and then it's your foot and ankle that make you collapse one way or the other way. So you're just trying to do the toes out, shin out, toes in, shin in, just see that that joint moves. Then you walk your foot out, your right heel, until you couldn't touch the ground if you gas pedaled as far as you can. And now we'll do a full ankle circle. So at this point, shin doesn't move. You can put both hands on shin, and then you're going to trace a circle out. So you bring that pinky side of your toe up, you gas pedal down as far as you can, and then you sweep the floor with your toes, and then bring your foot back up and go again. Same direction. Try to make it an equal speed again, and really try to make this circle that you're drawing on the edge of your toes as big as possible, as smooth as possible. Let's go the other direction. We're going to do the same thing on the other side. So you lock up this ankle, flexing that foot. Knee doesn't move, shin does move, and then you're going to rotate in and out. And what you can do is, even though this hand is like a gauge, or these two hands can tell you if there's relative motion between here and there, you can also use this hand to help out just a little bit if you want. If you find like there's no movement there, and you're checking to watch if your foot is pronating, supinating. It's okay if it does it a little bit. You're trying not to though. Then foot goes out, so you couldn't touch the ground if you gas pedaled. Shin doesn't move. Find tension in the air, tension in your body, and trace out a very controlled and strong rotation. switch directions. Nice. Then we'll do the full knee rotation. So to do that, you're going to be on your back. I'll show you really fast how it looks before you lose sight of me. So how the rotation works is you're doing the same axial shin rotation, except you're straightening and flexing your leg. So it looks like this: shin toes out, you straighten; shin toes in, you flex. Okay, so let's go on the ground. Let's start with a good position into the floor. So I want you to tuck your chin a little bit. If your ribs are flared, you're going to do a bit of an extended exhale, out pursed lips, and feel those low ribs come down towards your pelvis without rounding your back. And then maybe a little pelvic tuck, so you can feel your sacrum flat to the ground. And once you have all those, you're going to slowly straighten your left leg without losing that position on the floor. Now you're going to grab your right leg by the back of the thigh at the hamstring, and with knee flexed, I want you to turn your toes and shin bone out to the right. And now keep trying to turn it out to the right while you go and straighten that leg, or get near straight. And then you turn your toes and shin in towards the midline from the shin bone, and you pull down, squeezing the inside of your calf to the inside of your hamstring. Do one more of those. Toes out, shin out, straighten. Toes in, shin in, flex. Switch directions now. So you're going to drive the pinky side of your toes up first. Rotate through the shin, pull the pinky side down, and let's do one more. Rotate that shin bone internally, facing your midline, straighten, rotate it out, and while you're flexing down, you're still trying to rotate it out. That's good. We'll switch legs. Take a second to feel flat and even pressure through the ground. You're then going to straighten and lengthen that right leg onto the floor. Grab your left leg from the hamstring. Now, foot is flexed, shin and toes aim left as you straighten. Still trying to aim left, then you rotate inwards. Keep trying to rotate inwards as you flex down. One more in that direction. Toes shin out to the left, straighten, toes shin in to the right and flex, and two in the opposite direction, starting with the knife edge side of your foot. Trying to maintain length through your spine, a little bit of core tension. With every one of these joint rotations, you have tension throughout the rest of your body too, so it's fully connected with all your other joints, even though they're not moving. Finish off your second rotation and relax. Okay, so now we're gonna go expand ranges. We're gonna have a big focus on your chest and your upper back. So you need your double tennis ball. What you're doing is you're putting these balls between your ribs, so it's going to be up above your lowest rib, and then the part where the tape is in the middle, that's going to be your spine, so it shouldn't be touching your spine. So we'll start at like the lower segment. So if this is my lowest rib, I'm going to go up a couple inches, and then you're going to just rest on the ball there. And so you got to find a comfortable position first. Now, there's different amounts of tension. Like if this is too hard, you can go on a pad. If it's too easy and you want to dig in more, your hips can come off the ground, or your hips and your head can both come off the ground. Okay, so you choose whatever version. Now hug yourself really big. If at any point this gets uncomfortable at your neck, you're going to support your neck. Now the sequence is you're going to breathe in for 4 seconds into the tennis balls, separating those ribs. You're then going to hold and tension for 4 seconds. And then we're going to relax for 7 seconds, draping over, and do a few little micro extensions and flexions, or segmental flexion extension. Okay, so all together, breathe in through your nose big and try to expand into the tennis balls for 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold your breath, find full body tension, press into the tennis balls, 2, 1, and a long relaxed exhale for 7 seconds. Feel yourself melt over the tennis balls. Relax every muscle you have. It'll create a little bit of extension there. And now practice some segmental movement or control. So see if you can just flex into those tennis balls a little harder, as if you're trying to flex your spine only at that one segment and nowhere else, and hold. Now try to get lighter on those tennis balls. So you'll feel the muscles hugging next to your spine, working to try to extend your spine. There's really not going to be a lot of movement though. You just fire that area with just a little bit of movement. Let's go again. Flex into the tennis balls. Try to extend over the tennis balls. and then we'll move up to another segment and we'll do the same thing. So you slide down a little bit. If you want, you can hug yourself the other way. You can also grab your head at any point. Let's do the same thing. Breathe in deep, and you can relax your head even on a pillow too. So you breathe in deep for 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold, create tension. 4, 3, 2, 1. Relax all your muscles. Long exhale. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And now you're going to create controlled movement. So press into the tennis balls. You're flexing your spine just at that one part. Now try to get lighter on the tennis balls. Feel the muscles fire where the tennis balls are. Hold that. Flex again. Extend again or get light again. Good. Let's find another segment. So you slide your hips down a little bit. Make sure you don't get into your neck. You can always change positions too. Like as you slide up, sometimes hips might come off later or earlier, or head might go down. So big hug or holding your head. Breathe in deep like you're separating those ribs for 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold your breath, create tension. 4, 3, 2, 1. Relax, prolonged exhale. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Do a couple movements where you try to flex at that segment and hold. Extend at that segment and hold. Same thing. Put pressure into the balls and hold. Imagine you're lifting that segment away from the ball and hold. And then let's move up again. So now we're getting pretty close to the tops of your shoulder blades, or should be. So we're not going to do the breath and flexion extension here as much. We're just going to do some movements. So you do want to have your head resting on the ground. If you need that pad for your neck, then grab it. Pelvis tucked a little bit. Let's start by reaching to the ceiling with both hands up, thumbs aimed up over your head. And then you're just going to reach over your head and touch the ground. And back up. And so you're just going to do these flexions. You can play with where the tennis balls are a little bit, but they should generally be in the top part of your shoulder blades. Now with your hands reaching up, you're going to do a big T. So you're just going to open up your chest, and the back of your hands are going to go to the floor. I'm going to have this arm bent just because the wall is here, but this is what you're doing with both your arms. So you come up, you reach to the ceiling. You can always play with where the tennis balls are, and then you open your chest up and you're placing the backs of your hands on the floor in line with your shoulders. Nice. Slowly come out of this position. And we're going to go back to all fours. We're going to keep creating space in between your ribs, in your rib cage, moving it around. So you're on all fours. We're going to do something called air packing. To show you really fast, you're going to be flexed and extended. You're going to breathe in as big as you can to create space, and then hold your breath. And when you think you can't take in any more air, you're going to try to sip in more. So it looks like hold, and you do 2 of those breaths to pack in more air, and it feels like your ribs are separating and opening. Okay, so let's start on all fours. Get all your contact points evenly pressured into the ground. Press the ground away, lengthen your spine, and now round your upper back. Now take a deep breath in through your nose and expand in between all those ribs simultaneously, as big as you can get. Hold your breath. Now in through your mouth, try to sip in more air. And then one more time more, and hold. And so you're really opening up and peeling that area open as big as you can. Relax, move into extension. So I like to think of getting length through my upper back first, and then lengthening your sternum. And you're going to do the exact same thing. So breathe in as big as you can. It's going to go more into the front. Think of your ribs going out to the side. Okay, sip in more, a little more, hold. And imagine you're like pulling your sternum long through the front, and your back muscles where you're extending over the roller, they're all engaged, or over the ball. And then relax. Okay, you're gonna keep working on this stuff. We're gonna add a constraint, which is the Swiss ball. So we're gonna go into different positions where you're flexed over it, like rounded through your back. So then when you breathe in, your ribs are stuck. You're gonna have to breathe in through your back. Same thing into your sides. I'll go over the positions, and then if you don't have a Swiss ball, I'll do the version where, where you can substitute for not having a Swiss ball. So what you wanna do is you wanna feel your lowest ribs pinned, and you're gonna drape over this ball. And you're just gonna hang out there. Okay, so the more you roll forward, the more you're gonna be kind of tractioning, flexing your low back. So I want you to stay mostly into your upper back. It's okay if your knees hover. If you don't have a Swiss ball, then you can go into like this Japanese sit. It's not quite as effective because it's an active constraint, but you're gonna do the same thing and stay rounded. And all you're doing is breathing in this position. So you breathe in through your nose, and it really fills up into your back. Because when you're bent over and compressed in these positions, you still need to be able to take air into all different areas. Now when you exhale, it's a prolonged exhale where you can feel those low ribs come down. So it's like the inhale separates your ribs, it expands your ribs up and out in the back. And as you exhale, you're creating a little bit more compression in the front. If you don't have a Swiss ball, you're making this constraint a little bit more active by staying in that position. We're just gonna hang out here for maybe about 5 breaths, ideally. Your exhale, try to take double the time as your inhale. So you can breathe in for 4 seconds, and then you would breathe out for a good 6 to 8 seconds. Now you can come out of this. You're gonna go onto your side now. I'm just gonna show you, if you don't have a Swiss ball, what you're gonna do is you're gonna be back on all fours, kind of like we did at the beginning. And what you're gonna do is shift your ribs over to the right and side bend to the right. So you're creating space here and breathing through that spot. If you do have a Swiss ball, what you're gonna do is drape over it on your left side. So you're gonna have your right foot back, left foot forward. Now you want to make sure as you side bend, you laterally flex, you have to check that you're not flexing your spine forward and back and you're not twisting. You're trying to stay in a nice stack position, pelvis to ribs. Now your right hand's gonna reach up to lengthen this side, and it can come around and support your head too, so you're not getting into your neck. And so now make sure you're in a position where it feels like this Swiss ball kind of locks your left ribs in place. And my left hand's going on my side too. You can do this if you want, but you're gonna breathe in big through your nose again, and imagine you're lengthening and separating all these ribs. And then as you exhale for a long time, it'll bring your front ribs together and down, but it'll also close off your left. So every inhale opens up your right. Every exhale closes off your left, and it takes those last floating ribs, not your whole rib cage, just the last floating ones, and it brings them down to your pelvis. And you try to keep them there on your next inhale, generally. On your next biggest inhale, that's when you can come out and do the same thing on the other side. All right, so now it's gonna be left foot behind right. Try to stack your spine, so ribs and pelvis are in line. No flexing forward or back or twisting as you go over. Left hand can become a support for your head. And once you've got that, you're constrained on your ribs on the right as you drape open. Okay, and you're just breathing in this position. Long exhales. Feel that your right ribs close, they close in the front. And now when you breathe in, it's not only getting into these side ribs on the left, it should also feel like it's filling up into the back of your ribs on the left. You can roll down a little bit or over and really drape over this Swiss ball. If you're on all fours, you're in that side bend position, breathing into those left ribs, where every exhale feels like you're closing off the right, inhaling into the left. Okay, so now the last one is going to be a longer passive stretch, so you got to be comfortable. If you don't have a Swiss ball, you're just laying on your back and you need something between your shoulder blades, so like a thick pillow, or even like better would be a roller, and you just want to be draped open through your chest where you're opening up through your collarbone. If you have a Swiss ball though, you're going to be in the only position we haven't been in yet, which is on your back, and then it's arms draped open, hands in line. So you're going to go into this position as long as you're comfortable on your neck, and you're going to hold. So do make sure you are comfortable, because we're going to be here a little bit longer, because after this we're going to move into your chest more and out of your rib cage. But same idea, so it's a long deep inhale for about 4 seconds, feeling like you widen the distance between your two shoulders and get into your collarbone and lengthen that. And then on your exhale, it's a prolonged exhale, and that helps you to relax. It taps into your parasympathetic nervous system, but it also brings those floating ribs down as well. And then they stay down so that your inhale doesn't create a constant flaring of your ribs. It expands into other areas. So you have, full access to this big container that is your rib cage. Make sure your fingertips don't get numb. The higher up your hands are, generally, the more of a stretch it is, so you can bring them up towards your head a little bit. And then just to feel secure in your shoulder socket, you can do a little bit of a rotation where basically your thumbs are aiming towards the floor, like you're rotating your bicep towards the floor. Just a little bit, like a little bit of external rotation at that shoulder socket. And then continue to breathe in like your hands are moving away from each other. That line between your two hands is getting bigger. Exhale your floating ribs down for a prolonged time. Not crunching, just making sure you do follow your exhale to the very end. You're just passively opening through your chest at this point. If you want to play at the angle a bit, you can roll back over the Swiss ball slightly, or hips closer to the ground, and change where your hands are, further up towards your head, a little lower in line with your shoulders. Let's take another 1 breath or 2, and when you're done that, you are going to get up. You don't need the Swiss ball anymore. I'm going to show you this next one before you're face down and can't see me. But you are going to be face down in like a big T, like if I show you on the wall. You're going to be face down in a T, but what you're going to do is pin this shoulder to the ground, externally rotate just a little bit, maybe even less than I'm doing, and you're going to rotate away from your chest, away from this hand, to feel like you're opening up globally on this chest. So what it looks like is you're down into a T, you pin this shoulder, pin that hand, maybe rotate a little bit, and then I want you to rotate slowly into this position and hold. Okay, so try that out. Face down, you'll go right hand in the ground first. Okay, pin the shoulder, maybe externally rotate. Take your time rolling over. You don't want to feel like, there's this sharp line through your bicep, and you don't want to feel like it's like very local in the front of your shoulder. Your hand can go a little higher up towards your shoulder if you want, so that you don't dip forward like this. So yeah, your shoulder doesn't excessively roll, even though it's pinned. If you are really flexible, then that top leg, which is your left leg, it can go all the way back behind you. So sometimes it's called a scorpion. You end up looking like a scorpion. And now you're just breathing into that space. So breathe in big as if you're filling up that right chest wall, expanding that collarbone. Extended exhales again. And further is not better in terms of rotation, because you're not trying to twist and rotate through your back so much. You can even think of keeping it generally as one unit and just open up through this whole area. Again, you don't want to feel it sharp through there. You don't want to feel it along your bicep. You want to feel it as globally as possible. So we're going to do pails and rails. We're going to do contractions in this position. I want you to go pretty gentle with it though. Make sure it feels safe. So your next inhale, inhale into your belly. Think of packing that air into your abs. and you're going to breathe in and out through that tension. I want you to fire every muscle you have. And now with equal pressure on your elbow and hand, I want you to press into the ground so that all the stretched tissues, they fire. So you feel them contracted and long. And if that feels safe, you can ramp up a little bit more tension, and then you're going to hold. Hold the tension. Slowly relax that tension. Keeping tension in your core and the rest of your body. Try to do the opposite. Squeeze your back tight like you're trying to make your elbow and hand light. Feel that engagement through all the tissues on the back of your shoulder that are short. Try to engage them. Hold that for another 5 seconds. Relax. Relax everything. Take at least 1, maybe 2 relaxed breaths. So that means you're breathing in for 4, breathing out for 6 to 8 again. You're melting into it. You're finding your end range, and then you'll go to the other side. Okay. So hand is about in line with your shoulder, maybe up towards your ear a little bit. Make sure you're not rolled forward too much so you can do a little bit of external rotation as you pin it into the ground and then rotate your body away. Your foot that front leg can either come up really high, or if you have a lot of flexibility, you can wrap right around behind you. Once you get there, just make sure you're comfortable and take some deep breaths again. So you're back to this like passive, relaxed style of breathing. In for 4 seconds. You can think in through your nose for 4 seconds, expand into the area that's stretching. A prolonged exhale. Make sure you don't start to feel it in your bicep. You're not opening up by rolling forward excessively. Just think the distance between maybe like your sternum, like the middle of your collarbone, to the edge of your shoulder, that's what's expanding and opening up. If it's your first time doing it, you just go easier than you think you should. And then we're going to do pails and rails again. So that's just contracting what's long and then contracting what's short. So you have strength and control in this end range that you're trying to develop. So let's start with core tension. You think of breathing into your belly and those low ribs. As you exhale, you pack that air down 360 degrees around you. You create tension in the rest of your body. Now, press lightly through your hand and your elbow into the ground. You can even think shoulder pressing in the ground. All these tissues that are on a full stretch, I just want you to feel them contract really light. And then now that you have that contraction, turn the dial up. So make them contract a little harder, and you find where basically it doesn't just shift to one area, it stays globally, but it's just ramping up slow to your like greatest but safest feeling effort. If you don't know what that is, then just be conservative with it. Hold for a couple more seconds. And now slowly relax that effort, but keep core engaged and the rest of your body engaged, and just contract everything behind you where your shoulder blade is, as if you're trying to lift your hand. So you're trying to like backhand off, and you just feel a squeeze through this area. It can be really light because you are at end range, and you're usually not super strong at end range where your tissues are very short, but just at least build a connection with those tissues. You can now slowly turn that tension down, turn the tension down through the rest of your body. Fully relax, do 1 to 2 breaths in that position, just let it settle in. And then when you're ready, you're gonna be on your back again. So I'm going to show you very quick what the drill is, and then I'm going to describe it. So the drill is on your back, hands out in line with your shoulders, which you just worked on, and basically your knees are going to go side to side. When they're going towards your hand, you're trying to work on stability of this shoulder, but then your opposite hand's going to open up. So when I go the other way, this hand's going to press down, this hand's going to open up. So let's go onto your back. I'll describe it better when you're there. So do your best to get a nice stack position first, so ribs are, your entire rib cage is down in the ground and it's in line with your pelvis. Your hands are out into a big T shape, so they're in line with your shoulders. And now bring your legs up so that your knees are in line with your hips, they're bent 90 degrees. Find a little bit of core tension. You're not trying to rotate through your upper back. Now your goal is to keep both shoulders, the backs of them, pinned to the ground, and your upper back pinned to the floor as well. Now slowly let your knees fall to the right. And I want you to go really slow so you can feel if this right shoulder even untucks a little bit. You want to be open through that collarbone, so you're working on stability of the shoulder blade there, but you're also keeping your upper back in the ground, so the mobility that you're working through, or the range, is you should be twisting through your upper back. That's where you should feel it. And then your left hand is palm up to the ceiling, so it's stretching just like we did in that scorpion, and then you go the other way. So when you transition over, you're going to the left now. Your left palm's pressing through the ground, and your right palm is up. And you're going to go side to side, keeping ribs and pelvis generally together. You can just go at your own pace, but you do want to feel like upper back definitely stays in the ground. It's really easy to cheat and want to go knees to the ground. What you should feel is, you should feel near the low part of your shoulder blade of the hand that you're rotating towards. And you should also feel like the rotation is coming through your upper spine, not your low back. So you want to feel very strong through the hand that's in the ground. And you're going slow enough you feel that there's not like even the slightest tilt there. And with this drill, usually you'll feel a little loss of that stability before anybody else would see it. Like you would just feel that lightening, or it just feels like your shoulder just dips forward in the socket a little bit. And you're just side to side with control. So instead of being passive like over the roller, and instead of being just doing end range contractions like we did when you were in the scorpion pressing into the ground, now you're trying to see if you have full like motor control going side to side. And the only thing we haven't really worked on much is rotation through your upper back. So you're just getting rotation where you should get most of your rotation, which is in your upper spine. Okay, once your sides are even, let's go map this out with a big shoulder rotation again. So what you'll need is your pad, just to make sure you're comfortable on your knee. We're going to go right knee down. And if you have your dowel, then yeah, you might use your dowel. You don't 100% need it though. Okay, so let's get yourself in a stacked position again. So get your rib cage right over your pelvis, over your knee. Feel your glutes squeeze. It's almost like the bottom of your glutes squeezes as if you're pressing into the ground, and find like a mild stretch through this right hip flexor. So this stretch is just going to be held passively. Now, left hand's going to go onto your left knee just for some anchoring. Right hand's going to be a knife edge again, and we're going to do that same shoulder rotation just to map out the range that we've been working on while simultaneously opening up through your right hip. So you're going to move through flexion. You can pick a light contraction for right now, maybe like 10 to 30%. You're going to reach into full flexion without your ribs moving, rotate from your shoulder socket. Continue that rotation as you press back, just like we did at the beginning or near the beginning of class. And you finish in internal rotation. And now you're going to work through extension, staying open through your collarbone. Rotate, and you're going to move through the range that we tried to open up. So squeeze your back tight, stay open through your chest. Slow down through that range. Good, come all the way around. And let's do that one more time. So press down, open up your right hip, go through that full rotation. Nice, chest should aim straight forward. So no flaring, but also no rotation through your back or through your rib cage. Okay, so stay in this position. You can either have both hands down, or if you've got your dowel near you, your dowel can press into the ground. And since this has been passively opening for a while, we're just gonna do some pails and rails too, and just build this range, or try to expand on that range in the front of your hips. So just make sure you don't tip your pelvis forward to do this, because that'd be cheating. So you're pressing down into your knee or into the dowel. Feel that long stacked position. Find the end range of this hip. Now, like we did before with the scorpion, big breath in to your belly, into those low ribs. Exhale, pack that air down so this is solid and not going to move. Irradiate tension everywhere. Let's really build it up like it's a max effort lift. And now we're going to contract these long tissues. So do that by pretending your knee is going to slide forward. It's going to slide the pad forward, just to feel that hip flexor fire without shortening. Now gently kick your toes in the ground too. Feel this whole quad fire also while staying long. If it feels safe, build the tension up, but still holding tension in the rest of your body. Hold that irradiation and that tension. Another 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Slowly relax just the hip. You still hold tension in the rest of your body. You're gonna have to really focus on your core here so you don't hyperextend your back. Imagine you're sliding the mat back now and you're driving your heel back. And what you should feel is this glute fire in an effort to extend your hip. If you can fire this so hard it almost cramps. This is opening lengthwise. You're gonna hold that contraction. Slowly with control, turn the dial down so you don't just, turn on and off really hard. You can control that contraction from 0 to 100. Settle into the stretch. Just take one more relaxed breath. And then we'll do the exact same thing on the other side. So now it's left knee down. Do your best to find a good stacked position. So I think of my dowel reaching forward in a way that it pushes my ribs back, so I know, or at least feel like I'm stacked over here. Press that knee down, glute contracts, it tucks your pelvis ever so slightly to flatten your sacrum, and let's do 2 rotations on this left side. So nothing is moving. You've got tension through your body. You're trying to create length and an opening in the left front of your hip. And then go at a pace you can map out a nice smooth circle. Sometimes people's circle look a little bit different depending on where you might have like pinching or it doesn't glide really well. You might turn out earlier or later. Slow down through that chest opening position. And one more. All right, both hands in the dowel or on your right knee. Do a long, relaxed exhale. Release a breath. Just let this settle into its end position, again, without tipping or going forward. So you're not looking for this. You're really trying to lengthen this line from your knee to the top of your pelvis. Next breath, fill up through your belly. Pack that air into your belly. Leave it packed in as you breathe in and out. Find tension through your whole body like you're about to do a heavy lift. Now find tension in this left hip. So you do that by just driving your knee ever so slightly forward and kicking into the ground. So you feel all these long tissues fire. And once you've got that, as long as you can hold that irradiation through the rest of your body, then you can build that irradiation or you can build the tension in this hip. But you gotta also make sure you don't shorten those tissues. So wherever it feels safest, especially on your knee, hold that effort. Slowly relax that effort. See if you can hit every number on that scale from your greatest down to a 0. Still core tight, still body tight. Drive your heel and pretend you're sliding the mat back. Squeeze this glute, pretend it's anchoring down, like pushing down through your knee, and it's lengthening through this front line, and you're gonna hold that now. So you're firing all the tissues that are short. So everything on this side is short, everything on this side is long, you're firing the shortened tissues. So you're doing a rails contraction. You're going to hold that, another 3 seconds. Slowly relax. Let it just settle into its last position. Good. Then we'll come out. We're going to go into standing, essentially do the same thing. Just try to do one more shoulder car, one more shoulder rotation while opening up through your hip. So let's go right foot back into this like staggered stance. Now I want you to press actively through the pads of your right foot. Squeeze this glute like you're opening up this hip. You're going to do a full rotation if I show you from the front. The difference is this palm's going to be forward, so you're externally rotating. And now you press through the ground, stay tall, and you're going to come across your body. While externally rotated, you're going to reach up. You got to be careful there's no pinching on the front here. Up and back, rotate through that shoulder socket and all the way around. This part's the same as the other rotations you've done, but you're actively pushing and rooted through that back foot. And then you're going back with an open chest, open collarbone, rotating, staying open, staying into this stretched long chest position. And when you come across, your palm is going to face back and you're going to come across your body. So you've explored the full range of that shoulder now, completely. And we'll just do one rep, and we're going to do the same thing on the other side. So press actively through the left, lengthen through the front of your left hip, find tension in your body, and then let's do one rotation. So ribs don't go forward and back, they stay stacked. There's no rotation. You're just moving the ball in the socket, keeping in the center of the socket the whole time. And following the same path back. Nice. Okay, we're going to finish off with wrists and then breath work. So you're back onto all fours. So where you got to be careful, there's no pinching at this point. Since we're working on extension, you got to make sure you don't pinch through here. So if you do, like let's say we get into a range and you do have pinching for today, for this one, just scale out of it a little bit. You can still build strength in whatever range where your wrists and your joints are moving properly. So we're going to start with more of a passive stretch. So it's fingertips aimed generally towards your knees. Splay your fingers, try to keep the heels of your hands in the ground. And you can see the closer you are, like to your knees, the more you can put weight on your knees and not so much on your hands. So you only put as much weight as you feel comfortable. The rest of your spine's a little bit active though. Like I want you to feel like you're nice and tall through your spine again. You're not collapsed, your elbows are not bent, so everything's nice and straight. And you just rock back and you should feel a stretch through the front, or I guess it would be through your flexors. Now hold that, breathe into it. If you want, you can do a little bit of movement. I'm trying to splay my fingers out as much as I can, keep them all in contact with the ground as well. So you can rock in and out. And what we're going to do is we're going to do a more passive stretch, which is what we're doing now for wrist extension. Then we're going to do contractions like we did with our hip flexor and our chest, so pails and rails. And then we're going to up it a little bit. So we're going to do lift-offs and we're going to do holds. You can also go back into the stretch and you can go side to side as well. So really, you're only working in a range that should feel really good. You're not really forcing it. If you don't have this much mobility, then you just scale way forward and rest heavy on the heels of your hands. Okay, now let's flip the other way. We're going to go into extension and then we're going to do contractions where you're pressing in and trying to lift off. So heels are in the ground, back is far from the floor, fingers are splayed and touching. The closer you are, the less weight you have to put on your wrist, and you're going to rock forward and find that end range. So for me, I feel it here. If you feel a pinch, then you just don't go this far, you're going to scale back, which is fine. Okay, you got to check for a lot of compensation. So no movement from your shoulder blades, spine, definitely no movement from your elbows. Try to find some core tension and body tension again, and I want you to press your fingertips and your first knuckle, or I guess like the tops of your hands, the tops of your palms into the ground. So it's like you're trying to do a push-up with your wrists, but just enough that your heels don't quite come off the floor. So enough that a piece of paper could come off. So all these tissues that are on stretch are all firing right now. So as comfortable as you feel ramping that tension up, you're gonna do that and hold. Now you're gonna slowly relax that tension. See if you have a new range you can settle to. Do the opposite. Try to lift your fingertips off the ground. And you should be so far that they don't lift off the ground. So you're trying to do a reverse push-up, I guess. You're trying to bring your hands this way into flexion. You should feel all these short tissues fire. Sometimes they cramp. So you're gonna hold that. Elbows don't bend. Relax. Come back, do some circles. You can just be a little bit more loose with the circles. Just get some movement there. While you're doing that, I'm just going to show you what you're going to do next. So you're going to go to that end range. Whatever this angle is, you're going to try to maintain it as you rock back. So the second you go back, your fingertips should come off the ground. Check that you don't bend your elbows and cheat. Like the harder this gets, the more likely you're going to be to cheat. So really, you're trying to keep this angle the same. You rock back just till they're hovering. You hold, and then we're going to come back. We're just going to do one hold. You could do multiple, but we're going to do one for about 10 seconds, maybe a bit longer. Okay, so all splayed, strong through your shoulders, pushing through the ground as you find end range. Okay, lock this joint in by thinking of making your fingertips light. Very slowly start to rock back, and ideally your fingertips would come right off the ground right away, but if they don't, keep rocking back, keep pushing through the ground, keep straightening your elbows. Now hold. Should be a cramp in the front of your forearms. Keep holding. Relax, circles if you need to. The last one, we're gonna lift fingers off one at a time. This one you definitely will feel in the front of your forearm. So when you're ready, this is the last one here, we're gonna find that same position, we're gonna go forward. Now this time I want you to rock back just a little bit, maybe like 2 to 3 inches to give yourself some room to peel each finger off. Really make sure elbows are straight and you're pushing through the ground. Just lift your thumbs off the floor and hover them there. Check if your elbow's bent, put your thumbs back down. Just lift your index fingers off the ground. If they don't lift off, scale back or rock back a little bit more. Elbows aren't bending. Put them down. It's going to get better as you go. Middle fingers come off. Hold that. Back down. This one's the best one. Ring fingers off. Elbows are straight. You're pushing through. Lift them as high as possible. Hold. Put them down. Pinky fingers come off. And relax. You can do a couple wrist circles again if you want to, and then we're going to finish on your back with breath work. So when you get there, we're going to basically work, so we worked all into your ribs today, into your chest a little bit. Now the focus is on your diaphragm, being able to go through its fullest range of motion. So when you exhale, your diaphragm comes up. When you inhale, it descends. So we're going to try to go to those two ends of the spectrum. This first one, you're inhaling as big as you can. We're going to do it through your nose so you have good mechanics. So I'm going to give you a lot of time to inhale deep and really inflate. And you want to get so big that when I say relax, you just basically let out your mouth and it relaxes out. Eventually, we're going to do a max exhale and hold though. Okay, so just to all sync up, let's do one relaxed exhale. And now max breath in through your nose. Feel it expand your belly, ribs out to the side, into your back, into the floor. Keep getting bigger until you get into your neck. You shouldn't get into your neck, and relax. So just let it go. It goes out your mouth. It should be pretty quick. Max breath in through your nose. Relax. Max breath in through your nose. All the effort's on the in, and it's like you get tranquilized. The air just falls out of you on the X. In. Relax. Max breath in through your nose. Relax. Max breath in. Fill your pelvis. Fill your belly. Fill your ribs. 360 degrees. Relax. Let's do 5 more. Max breath in through your nose. As long as you're expanding in all directions in a wave from bottom up, you can breathe in stronger. Relax, out your mouth, just let it fall out. Max breath in again. Relax. 3 more. Max in. Reflexive out. Max in. Reflexive out. Last one. Max in. And then you're going to breathe all that air out like you're doing a long sigh. Everything out, like 110%. Keep breathing out, out, out. When you get to the bottom, you're going to hold. So I want you to keep trying to breathe out. What will happen is your ribs will go together. They'll go down. You'll feel your pelvis almost squeeze together. If you can't get more air out, think of squeezing your belly button and the fronts of your pelvis just a little bit more. Every last drop of air is out, and then you're going to hold. And while you're holding, I kind of want you to feel that midline squeeze. So your diaphragm is fully stretched. Your internal obliques will fire a little bit, like they're bringing your your ribs together and down. Like I said, your pelvis is coming in, so your transverse is going to fire as well. You're going to try to keep that bit of firing, and you basically hold as long as you're comfortable. Try to relax every other muscle, hold a little bit of that midline squeeze if you're still holding. When you do have to come out of it, then I want you to shift into like normal nasal breathing as soon as possible, so you shouldn't gasp too big. And then you just want an equal cadence nasal in and out. All right,
job.